Hi everyone, Melanie here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today I want to talk about one of the reasons why we find it so painful, even more painful, to be out of a relationship that was abusive. It felt in some ways that it was easier being in that relationship, and now it actually feels a lot more painful. And for someone who perhaps hasn't been in an abusive relationship, might try and give the advice of, cheer up. Things are different now. You're single, plenty of fish in the sea. You're young, you've got many years ahead. Be positive and all that. They don't understand why the feelings of pain or shame, feeling worse coming out of a relationship, they don't quite understand why it happens. And as such, we can go even more within ourselves, maybe feeling ashamed that we're taking a long time to get over this, that what's wrong with me, that I'm still struggling after this breakup. I'm out of this dysfunctional, toxic relationship. So why am I still feeling like crap? Why is this still hurting so much? So I want to make this video to address one of the reasons why this could be happening. If you're in an abusive relationship, if you've been in one, then you'll know that you're often walking on eggshells around someone. If someone is emotionally volatile, they can't regulate their emotions well, if this person just flies into fits of rage and anger when you can't predict it. When we're in a relationship with someone who is abusive, regardless of not of whether they have a personality disorder or not, we still feel like the environment is dangerous. There's always signs going danger, danger. And one of the times this goes off for us, the danger, danger, be careful, is when the other person suddenly flies into a fit of rage and points the finger and accuses you, and you weren't expecting that. And this can cause us to get into a fight or flight or freeze or submit response. Often we get into a submissive response. And so we will placate, we will submit of sorts, we will fawn, we will do what it takes to get the other person to calm down so that the environment is once again safe. This is often what happens with borderline relationships, for example. They often do find someone who is too nice and tend to submit easier because then the relationship can go back on their terms. The thing about living in an environment which isn't safe, which feels dangerous, means we can't operate at our full capacity. We are operating at some level where we have to employ things like denial, suppression. These are reasons why we can stay in relationships that are abusive for so long, because in order to get on with life, in order to get to work and actually carry on with life, we need a certain amount of denial to downplay how bad the abuse really is. We're in denial of how bad it is, of what's actually going on, maybe not even seeing it as abuse. Maybe you're blaming yourself. Denial is it's an ego defense mechanism that we use in dangerous situations for us to continue to survive, for us to continue living, to stay safe, basically. Now, when we get out of this dangerous situation, so for example, we've broken up with this abusive partner, we're not living with them anymore, they're not a threat to us now, then it all comes in. The denial floodgates just open, and the waters of pain or shame, they all come flooding in. All the realizations of, actually, this was actually quite an abusive relationship. I was mistreated, I was abused, I was victimized. And to experience that all coming at once, it is shocking, it is painful, it causes a lot of suffering. And this is why, because we've been using ego defense mechanisms of suppression, of denial, to be able to carry on with life. And maybe you didn't actually want this relationship to be over, you just wanted it to be better. At the beginning, it was good, and you're dreaming for it to get back to those days again, for that person to be who they used to be. You see this with borderline personality disorder, that they will have moments of lucidity where they seem like their normal selves again, the person that you fell for initially, and you think maybe, just maybe, it can go back to how it used to be. This is denial once again. It comes out of a place of hope and of love, but It's what keeps us ultimately in a long-term borderline relationship, hope that it can go back to where it used to be. So the act of denial can keep us in a relationship that's not good for us because we're hoping for it to be better, to go back to how it used to be. We are in denial that the person that we're in love with, who we used to think was an amazing person, actually isn't an amazing person. Denial that we made this choice because ultimately we're defending against feeling ashamed. We can't handle the shame of like, what is wrong with me that I'm in this relationship? We're always defending against shame. There's that anger inside of self-betrayal for how did I get it so wrong for choosing such a person, for seriously misjudging this person. Anger for putting yourself through this. There's all defenses against feeling anger and shame. Denial is one of them, denying our feelings, denying the other person. It causes too much cognitive dissonance. We can't handle the cognitive dissonance, so we will rationalize it in our mind. We will say, oh, they're this way because of this, this, and that. But the feelings of anger, they don't go away. They are still bottled up inside of you. And it's another reason why it can be so much more painful when you're out of this relationship, because now you're going to feel the anger. You're going to feel the anger at the other person of what happened when our boundaries have been betrayed, when we've been caged, when we feel like we've been a prisoner. There is a lot of anger that we have to contain just to be able to get through the day and to survive. A lot of anger that we have to withhold so that we don't want to piss off the partner. We don't want to instigate another conflict. So it's all going to come out now that you're out of the relationship and you're in a safer environment. You need to realize that actually I have been a victim in this relationship, the realization of which gives me clarity. Then with this clarity, with this realization, I know what to do next. And it has to get to a point where we identify with actually, yes, I have been a victim, and not get too attached to the label of being a victim, because then we get into victim mentality and we get stuck in it. I've made a previous video talking about labeling, and yes, labels do serve a function to help us get information to know what to do next, but then we have to drop it to acknowledge that we have been a victim without getting caught up in the victim label. So these are just a few ideas of why I think it is actually very painful coming out of an abusive relationship. And I want to share this because too many of us go back into these relationships. Maybe we feel a bit alienated from our friends and family or whoever who've been trying to give us well-meaning advice, but it wasn't the best advice because they don't know what it was like for you unless you've been in an abusive relationship, unless you've dealt with someone with a personality disorder. Then you're not going to really understand that it's not just as easy as just coming out of a toxic relationship and, hey, I'm better now, la, la, la. No, the healing process can be even more painful. It's like ripping off a Band-Aid or plaster, if you're from the UK. It's going to sting a lot. It's going to be more painful and the wound's going to be exposed, but it's the only way to heal. And I'm making these videos to give you some sort of comfort if you're in this situation, if you've been in this situation, that you're not alone in feeling this. It's normal to be feeling this. If you want to share your story, let me know down. Let me know in the comments below. I want people to know that you guys aren't alone. And if you're feeling this void that you're in is really painful and you can't do it alone, don't be shy. Reach out to me. Email me. My email address is melanieprsvp@gmail.com. I'm going to leave it here for now. I hope you have a lovely day. Bye-bye.